Harper here, WWE2K20. Yes, that's right, I'm actually in the game using it. But this video, real simple, we're just going to go through the first 2K Originals pack, the Bump in the Night DLC. I'm going to start with the positive and then give you the negative of what I think about the pack. And then I'm going to tell you what we should have got instead from 2K had they have listened to their actual audience. So here we go. The positive is the rewards. I've got to say, I have really been impressed with the rewards. Please ignore all these stupid characters, and I'll go into these later. I don't want any of those characters. What I'm interested in are the attire parts, all of the things that you get from that. I'm just gonna, you can like pause this stuff later and have a look through, or just play the game and see it for yourself later. Some of the parts are really fun, and they look like they're gonna be good things to be able to create with. The arenas, I love the idea that they're gonna give us more arenas in these packs. The weapons, which is something I was really interested in when I first saw the originals announced, and I love the fact that they're giving us stuff like this, because this is just gonna help enhance our arenas and our story modes. I really like it. I think that it's really cool that they've added the weapons anyway. Motions have been added, which again I think is pretty cool that they've added new motions in there. Obviously they've done that to replace the DLC from years gone by where we've had a move set DLC, so they've included that in these packs, which is kind of cool. I love the fact that they've given us a championship. I think the irony here is that we don't even have custom championship creation yet, and yet they've managed to give us a custom belt that they've made, which I find really bizarre. They knew that they were going to add these championships, so why didn't they just think, oh, let's make the championship creation tool ready in the game? Weird. Typical 2K. And then profile, you know, all these things are kind of fun that they've added. All that's really good. So that's the positive. Now for the negative. The negative is I basically got through one match and turned it off. Now the reason I played this DLC was to get the Fiend. I still haven't got him, and I probably won't get him for ages, because the truth is it's boring. This is crap. This DLC is so bad. Now, to play through, there are some minor glitches and issues. Okay, I can get over those. That's not a problem. There's always going to be a couple of minor glitches here and there. The issue that I have with the DLC is what I've said all along. When on earth am I going to use any of these people in their little special attires that they have? Like, it's fun and all that stuff, but it's pointless and worthless. This is what we pay money for. We pay money for stupid outfits. That I'm not looking for cosplay wrestlers. If I want cosplay, I'll do it myself and dress up. What I'm looking for is added content that's not in the game, that actually adds value to the product that I've paid for. And this doesn't add value to it except for the Fiend. The Fiend is literally the only thing that adds major value to this game. And so the Fiend is something that I'm surprised they didn't do more of in terms of adding new superstars that aren't on the game with each pack. It's pretty obvious from all the releases that we've seen that we're not getting any new characters or superstars from any of these packs. It's just going to be random weird attires and outfits of superstars that are already in the flipping game. Like, we don't need it. We don't want it. 2K, if you watch this, if any of you are a 2K employee, hear me now. We don't want this crap in the game. It's fun for about 10 minutes and then it leaves. Nothing has longevity in this DLC except for the Fiend. Give us more superstars. Give us more stuff that we can actually use in our universe mode, that we can use all over our game experience, that's going to last us for the whole year until 2K21 or whatever next year's iteration of the game will be. So let's get to it now. I've done my review of the originals packs, great, but let's go into something else, which is the main point of this video, which is this is the DLC that we should have been given. I'm going to need your help. I'm going to need you to imagine a little bit, use your imagination and creativity to just put your ideas in place of my words when I talked about what we need in these games. Now, what I've said before is, I'll go back one screen so that you can see this. What I would have loved, and I think that most people would have loved to have in the game, is pretty simple. Instead of Bump in the Night, this should have been WWE NXT UK pack. Now, theme it whatever you want. If you want it to have a Halloween theme, go ahead. But the point is that if you'd have themed this as a WWE NXT UK pack, we could have had Walter, we could have had all those wrestlers, we could have had like 6 or 7 new superstars added to the game who were from NXT UK, and they clearly, anybody who uses the argument they don't have space for this stuff, yes they do. They've added like 6 or 7 new characters, but they're all just alternate attires, fantasy attires of wrestlers already in the game, so they do have the time to do it. They just couldn't be bothered, or, and I think this is really the bottom line, they were misinformed by YouTubers who have fans who don't buy the game. And this is a big issue that I have. Maybe I'll deal with it in a different video at a later date. Maybe I'll deal with it a little bit now and get this off of my chest. I think the big problem with these packs and with all this new stuff that we see in the game every year, a lot of it is driven from feedback that's given by large YouTube accounts who are known for their universe mode or their My Career walkthroughs and the way that they basically fantasize the way that they would be in WWE. And they're really good engaging characters, and they have personality, which is why they've got a big audience. But the problem is their audience follow them and subscribe to be entertained. They don't actually subscribe because it's content they want in WWE2K20 or whatever game it is. They follow because they want to be entertained. They want to watch a video, be entertained by a personality, and then leave. 2K are listening to these people, and they're listening to the wrong audience. They're getting feedback from the wrong people. Yes, you should include 1 or 2 of those big YouTubers. I think you have to include 1 or 2 because it's good to get that extra different opinion and idea on the game. But the real people they should be listening to, the real fans of these games, are the community creators, the ones who go into community creations, who use Creation Suite, who build arenas for people, who build cores, who build flipping movesets and spend days of their life working on that for other fans who buy the game to enjoy. Because we're the ones with the big download numbers. Like, I had 150,000 downloads last year. That's a lot of downloads, so clearly there's a lot of content that I've made that people want in the game. And I'm not the best. There are so many people out there who've got more downloads than I've ever had. And these are the people that 2K should be drawing on for feedback, because these are the people who are getting all of the downloads in game. These are the people who are connecting with the fans, and they're seeing the response from the fan base. Because if I get loads of downloads for something, I know that the fans want that content. So next year I'm going to build the same, and I'm going to do more like that. My example is that I'm a big Legends fan, WCW fan, ECW fan from the Attitude Era. So, and this brings me nicely onto my second pack that I would include in the game, which would be a Legends pack. And I look at the Bump in the Night, and when I look at this, I'm just like, the opportunities here are endless, okay? If they'd have done a Legends pack, this would have been incredible, and I would pay money for it. I'm disappointed that I've been duped into paying for this DLC. I've literally bought it because of The Fiend. I think that this sucks. I think that there's potential, but it sucks. Like I said earlier, if you can just use your imagination, if this were a WCW or a Legends pack, let's say, in fact, Legends pack, imagine if Fear is Power was a WCW pack. Imagine if All Fed Up was an ECW pack. Imagine if Nowhere to Run was an Attitude Era pack. And within each of these, you could still have a couple of alternate attires. For example, in WCW, you could have a Ric Flair alternate attire, an Eddie Guerrero original WCW attire, for example, with their moves and entrances, and you could add their Titantron entrance screens. You could add everything, which would be really cool. For ECW, we actually don't have that many ECW guys left in this game, if any. In fact, we don't have any as far as I'm aware now that Rhino's gone. But imagine if Rhino had been in it. Rhino would have been in the pack. You could have thrown RVD in the pack, possibly have thrown Sabu, Tommy Dreamer, Sandman. There were so many people you could include. You could even add people like The Big Show and make like an old school ECW attire or John Cena when he was the ECW champion. You could add loads of that content in and it would be so much more fun. Going back to the WCW one, it reminded me of The Big Show. The Big Show is the biggest one for me. You could literally drop all of the original NWO attires. Macho Man, Hulk Hogan, they could all wear that. They could all have an alternate attire of their NWO style themed attires. X-Pac you could have had 6 in the game. I mean, this is ridiculous. Just talking through all this is worth buying. You could have had like WCW inspired entrance parts. For example, with the attires, you could have had loads of NWO stuff that was put in there. Some of the weird stuff like Kevin Nash, who used to be the Grand Wizard. I know it was a really bad character, but it would have been funny to have that in the game as parts that we could create for him. Arenas. Give us some WCW arenas. You could give us some ECW arenas, NXT UK arenas, and then I'll go into some of the others in a minute. But you're getting my point. Like, they could have done so much more with these packs. For example, championships. They could have given us the ECW television title back, which they've excluded for some unknown reason on the game. They haven't put the television title for WCW in the game. They could have added that. There are a bunch of retro titles that they also could have added to the game, which they haven't, and I do not understand it. Okay, so that's what I would do for the first 2 packs. The third pack would be an NXT pack. So what I would do is round off the roster that's missing from NXT. So maybe add another 7 or 8 NXT roster people, including people like Drake Maverick as a playable character. Lio Rush would obviously probably be the headliner in it. And I know some people would moan at this point and say, well, these characters should all be part of the original in-game disc. I agree, but I also understand that they simply, these models to create take a lot of time. So I get it. Some of them can just be left later, and it's not a big deal because you know they're coming into the game. And as long as you know they're coming, it's fine. But also, if there's a new superstar who signs to NXT in the meantime, add them in. Like, it would be so cool to have an updated roster 4 months after the game's release, to have some NXT stars who we just didn't expect to see in the game. It would be so cool to get that. Finally, I would do a current superstars roster, a current superstars DLC, and that would be more akin to what we've seen with Bump in the Night. Like, just experiment with a load of the current superstars, maybe give us 1 or 2 new superstars. What they could do is give us new attires or updated attires for what they're wearing right now, because we all know that when we buy 2K, the game, the second we buy it, it runs, and it's terribly delivered in my opinion. November is the beginning of the second cycle. There's like a 6-month cycle in wrestling. The year is broken into 2. There's pre and post WrestleMania. That cycle basically begins and ends now. So before the game drops, you'll notice that all of the roster start changing their look, their appearance. There are more character changes. We've just seen the draft, for example. WWE have set it up so that they sort of reset everything now, ready and in preparation for WrestleMania. That's what they're now beginning to build for, believe it or not. So what that means is when we buy the game, everything's outdated. Bayley's hair is now outdated. Loads of the attires are outdated. Fortunately, Shorty G isn't on the game, but the point is that we've now missed his character change because the game was released a week or two before his character changed. So what I would do is I would have a generic general roster one that would be DLC that would just update a bunch of the guys in game. And what I would do there is make only major changes allowed. If it's a brand new attire, give us the attire, let us have those parts so that we can add them to the wrestlers in game. It's really not rocket science. And they've just got to listen. If they listen to people, if they actually listen to the right people, we would end up with a really good experience on this game. That's my personal feeling. But I don't think they will, but this is my idea. A new DLC next year. What I would do is completely change the DLC and I would make it worth people's money. Anyway, I'm X Harper. That's it for this ideas video. If you have any ideas of what you'd like to see for DLC, please go into the comments section, write those ideas down, tweet at me, find me on social media, whatever, but just comment, let's interact, let's talk. I'm sure it'll be fun. Also, give me your feedback on the DLC. I'd love to know what you think of it. Like I said, I've got certainly more negatives than positives, as I have with most of the stuff in the game at the moment. Don't like this video. If you don't like it and you put the thumbs down, don't be the thumbs down troll. Please leave constructive criticism in the comments as well. I want to make these videos better, so I need your help to do that.